This is SportsRage. I'm Gabriel Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people, the bust them, and everybody else in between. Great start to the show. Always great breaking it down with Drew Martin. Drew Martin bets. Cam's looking for an in-game bet to pull the trigger on right now. We've still got a bunch of college basketball going off the board. The Knicks right now are up 48-39. I haven't paid too much attention to the association tonight. No Luka for the Mavs. 48-39 Knicks right now over the Blazers. Let's bring in Derek Dimes right now. Talk some more basketball. Always good to get a different perspective and opinion because me, Cam, and Drew seem to agree on every pick tonight, which could be trouble. What's going on, Derek? How you doing, my man?
What's going on, fellas? Happy to be here. Haven't been a lot of NBA action for me here recently either, with so much college basketball going on, and now it's tournament time, so it's coming down to one of my favorite times of the year with college basketball. So excited to get into it.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm not going to go in down the NBA load management, the NBA this and that. But we're at the time of the year right now where players are tired because there hasn't been a ton of load management this year, but it's a tricky handicap at this time of the year. Yeah. A lot of teams are shorthanded. Guys aren't playing. Some teams already sort of know where they are in the playoffs. Some teams don't. But, yeah, it's sort of college basketball time right now. But with that being stated, did you play do you have anything, Derek, on these late-night NBA games?
I didn't play any of those NBA games. I was on the Suns earlier, and they got smoked by the Celtics. I thought it was a decent spot there to try to even up the series against the Celtics coming back from a road trip where they were pretty successful there. But the Celtics right now are just playing amazing basketball, if I got to be honest. I'm not sure if anyone in the East is going to be able to take them out this year.
Every time I try to sell myself on the Suns, like, it gets cloudy. I guess that's a good pun. It gets cloudy. It gets cloudy. Shout out to everyone joining us on Sirius XM Channel 159. I am Gabriel Morency. This is SportsRage. But it's true, Cam. You look at the Phoenix Suns, and I'm kind of a mark. I like Durant. I like Beal. Booker is a great player. But they don't have enough other type of – they're like a hockey team with no sandpaper. They don't have a third – like they don't have a second line. Like, you know, like 4 lines of hockey. Yeah. Phoenix are like, man, they got the best first line. They got 3 guys on the same line, man, that are amazing. Rest of the team sucks, though, right? And it's sort of that they just don't have enough because they pay these 3 guys all the money.
Yeah. And another thing, guys, look at the West. Look at the world beaters there, even the young teams there. You know what I mean, Morency? Like, I'm looking and going, no,
nobody's beating Denver, Cam. Denver get no respect. Nobody's beating the Nuggets.
You're actually right. Denver's, like, actually, when you really think about it, West, underrated. Yeah. No, they're like the Denver Nuggets are money in the bank. Like, I'm trying to make a case for, like, OKC is like a, you know, like an upstart team. Minnesota will gag, but I just don't trust Phoenix. It doesn't matter what number
I'll ask you, Derek, out of these teams you just mentioned, I want to get back to college, but just quickly on this, I do buy into Minnesota. And even without Karl-Anthony Towns, listen, Cat's going to be back. But Gobert is – Edwards the star. But if they have Gobert, they're a menace to everybody. We saw what they did to the Clippers the other night without Cat, right? They messed the Clippers up. I agree, Cam. Oklahoma City are awesome. SGA is great, but I don't think they're good enough defensively. They're just not quite there yet. The Clippers are sort of like Phoenix. You want to buy in, but every time you do, they'll pull the carpet out from underneath you. For me, I actually do think the T-Wolves are going to be good in the playoffs, but I think Denver, Derek, are just – I always hate, like, picking the same team again, right? Saying, like the champion. But I don't think anyone in the West can beat them in the playoffs. What do you think?
No, I think you're spot on there. As long as Jamal Murray's healthy and the Joker's on the court, they're going to be a tough out once again. And one thing that will always ring true here in the NBA, which is different in some other professional sports, is most of the time the experienced team is going to win. It's really hard for these younger teams to come in and get into the playoffs. It's a long season. It's an extended season. And trying to win in the playoffs, we know the game is completely different. It's a lot more physical. The game slows down in the half court. And you got to be able to execute in the half court. So like we saw last year with the Kings, we were all excited to see the Kings, which was a good young team. And now we see them this year. They're not even in the top 3 in the West Coast. So for me, it's Denver or bust. I think the Clippers can be right there, but the injuries with Russell Westbrook, I think people are seeing exactly how important Russell Westbrook is to that team. He brings a lot of energy and he sacrificed a lot, especially on the defensive end, where he really can strap in and be another ball handler and distributor for them. So I think if Russell's healthy, the Clippers still, I think, intrigue me. But to me, I think that none of these teams can match up with the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets, to me, it's Nuggets and Celtics, honestly. Maybe the Bucks could challenge the Celtics in the East, but I don't trust Doc Rivers. So to me, I think it's Denver Nuggets and Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals.
You read my mind, and I'm not going to go at Doc, but you read my mind in the sense that, Cam, I think, and Derek, I think that the East is even less. Like the West, you could actually debate. And, I don't want to dismiss, like, the Lakers either, to be honest, right? Or a Golden State, because I think they could go on a run, but they wouldn't beat Denver. They'd lose to Denver anyways. But I think the old guys could pull off. The young guys could choke against them. We've seen this in the past, but the East, guys, is really not that much of a debate.
It's Boston and Milwaukee. Like,
dude, the Knicks don't have enough scoring. They're a nice story, and they get hyped up because of the New York media and stuff, and they're all Knicks fans, but
you're right.
They don't score enough. They're injured. The Cavs are regular season warriors. The Heat are the Heat or whatever. The Sixers, Joel Embiid ain't walking through the door and saving anything. He's just going to get hurt again. And sorry, Dave, are you a Sixer guy?
I am a Sixer guy.
See, that's why I remembered. I was like, oh, boy, I didn't want to say it. So, yeah, Joel Embiid ain't coming back and saving the day. But you know what I mean. He'll come back and he'll get hurt again in the playoffs, bro.
I'm one of the few that was a year or two ago. I said I think that we should trade him. Everyone gave me a lot of crap for it. I think when his value is about as high as it got, especially when he got the MVP, it's like, listen, you're not going to win a championship with this guy. Get what you can get and try to maximize his value.
Take, Derek. That's a great
they're
take.
They're not going to win. If Joel Embiid's your best player, you're not going to win an NBA title.
Think about it.
And he's a great player, but
how many picks do they get for Embiid too? They get everything. Like, you could, like, it's the way to go. If you're not going to win a championship, you got to do it. I agree with it, Derek. He's smart.
I'm not saying that Hunter Dickinson is as good as Joel Embiid or like that, but I said the same type of thing. Listen, Dickinson scores 21-22 for Kansas, right? And I said, if Dickinson's your go-to guy, you ain't winning the championship. Right. I was just, you know what I mean?
I love Joel.
You're built around a big man, though. You're right. It's not Joel, but you need guards. You need it's a different league now, man. You can't just
guard-dominated league.
Kareem, Shaq, we're going to dump it inside to you. It doesn't work that way anymore.
Yep, different game. It's a different game now, and that's what makes the Nuggets so special. Even with the Joker's ability to handle the ball, they still have Jamal Murray, and no one really talks about him. But we've seen Jamal Murray in the playoffs how many years in a row now have 40-point games, 35-point games, 50-point games even when they were in the bubble, and we just don't possess that. I love Tyrese Maxey, but he's no Jamal Murray.
Yeah, I'm looking right here. The thing with Murray, too, is he's good in the fourth quarter. He gets better as he's pretty clutch. He gets good as games goes on. Jokic is like a conductor out there. You know, they set the tempo. It really reminds me of the Kansas City Chiefs a lot, sort of what they're doing. And a lot of teams, because, it's sort of like a two-man operation, but the other guys are good. But Malone, I brought this up last week. Malone talks more than any coach in the league. He's like a player. Like, they don't think they get enough respect. Like, they're not, we won. Like, the Raptors won a championship. They're still celebrating. Like, you know what I mean, Cam? The Nuggets are like, you guys still don't respect us, huh? We're going to beat you again. Like, no, like, that's the way the Nuggets think. Like, they're hungry still, the Nuggets.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Betting in game, there's a big difference, right? Like the computer changes the number so often. Like, I tried to get this in right now, but in reality, as I saw plus 165 in the arena, they're hitting the shot, and I'm getting this like a couple of seconds late. And even the sports book, like technology can only travel so fast.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
How about this? Nikola Jokic, heavy favorite here at a -170 price, followed by SGA at +250, and Luka Doncic at a 7-1 price.
It would require a whole lot from Luka to 15 of the next 20 games he has to have triple doubles, something absurd. And it really just comes down to Jokic being amazing, doing everything that he's doing. I hate to say it, but he's probably had this locked up the second Embiid was announced out.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Sports Rage continues. The Thursday Night Throwdown. I am Gabriel Morency. We're kicking it. Cam Stewart is back. We've got Derek Dimes in the house. We were talking NBA basketball, but let's get to the college. I'm just sort of loading up a couple of plays here. We're about 15, 20 minutes away from tip-off for a couple of these games. But, of course, you have the start times that are listed, and then you need 30 minutes to turn around. The other teams need 20 minutes on the court to warm up before. So, the Boise game is going to start in a while only tonight. But I'm fired up for some late-night basketball, Derek. So we're degenerates here, buddy. You don't have to bet every game just because we are, okay? But we'll ask you about them. We'll ask you about them. But I actually like these games. I'll be honest with you. The only game that I'm forcing a bet on, the only game that I can't lie. If this is a Saturday afternoon or something, I probably wouldn't be betting Stephen F. Austin and UT Arlington. I'd probably jump over it. You know what I mean? But and Stephen, then I still like Arlington here, but I do like Boise State a lot. I've been riding Riverside on a nightly basis, Derek, for a couple of weeks now. We bet a lot of Big West basketball. And I think the Utah Utes are kind of one of those sneaky dogs tonight when the world is on Colorado. So let's start off with New Mexico and Boise. Any opinion on this game, Derek, for you?
Yeah, I like Boise too. Boise coming off that win there against San Diego State with San Diego State at home. I think they had, 20 straight home wins there it was. And Boise State took care of business there. They've been really well-rounded, especially offensively. We know their defense is pretty good, but offensively, they've been very consistent as well. If I was to pick a side, I would definitely be on the Boise side of this one.
What do you guys think about the total, Gabe? Is it too high at 152? The Boise State, these guys can play a real slow, grind-them-out game. They're not a real, hey, let's run up and down. They're very methodical. 152.5 surprises me. That's very high.
I'm more of an over better, but I'm not in a rush to bet it to the over. No, you're right. I don't really want to bet the under. I think it'll be right around it.
Mm-hmm. It's the contrast of style with New Mexico. New Mexico has one of the fastest paces in college basketball. I think they're number 5 in tempo. So, they're going to be playing quick, and Boise typically does the opposite. Oh, buzzer there at Indiana, Penn State, and just catching the end of that game.
What's going on here?
Boise,
all right, let's see.
61-59.
Wow, it's crazy, huh?
Games.
So, you know what? Ryder have come back, too. St. Peter's were up big on Ryder. It's only a 1-point game now with 13 seconds left. St. Peter's up 49-48. We brought this up, actually. Speaking of the Sixers, we're talking about Temple, Derek. So, as soon as these son of a bitches get exposed as being under investigation for shady practices during their games, they're covering all the time. here they are right now. They're getting 12.5 against SMU. I don't know if you got your eye on this game tonight. SMU are currently laying 6.5. There's 12 left. They're winning 46-44 right now over Temple. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. SMU is one of those teams where they're pretty physical, but they don't shoot it tremendously well from three. And Temple matches up pretty well with like style of play. Like if you're thinking about style of play, I think these two teams are very similar. Just SMU is a better version of Temple essentially. But 12 to me seemed like a larger number. I didn't have any action on it, but right away, just hearing 12 just seems like a lot of points for an SMU team going up against a Temple team who's really.
Another upset today. I was going to say, sorry, but another upset today in this conference. Wichita State beats Memphis. Yeah. Memphis gets bounced. Like a lot of underdogs today. Memphis blew, man. I had Memphis. I'll admit, I had Memphis in a money line parlay. They killed me, Cam.
They'll always they're a team like you can't trust them as a big favorite. They'll let you down, Gabe. You've seen them this year. Like they're just you talked about it with certain teams in the NBA. Memphis is one of those teams like, oh yeah, Memphis looks they lose outright as 11.5-point favorites. They did that consistent. Like Wichita State was getting 8.5, 9 today.
That was pretty weak today, Derek.
They don't play any defense, man. Memphis can get up and down with the best of them. They can score 80, 90 points, but they cannot stop anybody.
Right.
So Colorado State are up 78-69 with 3.5 left right now over Nevada. In-game total 166.5. Bethune-Cookman up 56-43 on Southern. That game kind of flew under the radar. How about this, guys? There's obviously no value left right now. And I'll admit, Derek, I'm a Virginia Cavalier mark over the years. When everyone thinks they suck and stuff, I'm like, they don't suck. They're going to wear you out. They're great defensively and all this. No, I buy in that they do suck. They're not very good this year. And I'm just saying, I've watched them play, dude. They have a hard time getting to 50, man, this team. They really do.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, bro, Bennett, okay, you guys play defense. You need to score. Right. You're not going to win these games, dude, scoring 51 points a night. It's 53-53 right now with 5 minutes left against Boston College. I'm tempted, Cam, to take Boston College here out of spite against Virginia for sucking and costing me this year.
I did. I bet against them out of spite. They've been horrible, but I can't hate them totally because we got that national championship that one year, and man, they were lucky to win those games too.
Oh, that was crazy.
Every game they should have lost to Oregon, Auburn, everybody, and then they win. It was that was the craziest run ever. They could have lost every one of those games. They had to come back in the last couple minutes. It was nuts.
Jumping in right now, money line. Boston College, small player.
No. What made that even crazier with them winning was that was the year after they lost the first round, wasn't it? It was they were a 16.
Yes, it was.
You know what I mean? They lost the 16 seed or 15 seed. Then the following year, they come back and win the Natty.
Means Purdue wins this year.
I don't know, but that's
no, I'm not.
No,
I'm not. I can't.
Neither can
on that
I. Neither can I. I was sort of thinking about it. It's like, I don't think the Big Ten's that good. And I'm a Michigan fan.
I think it's
I don't
awful,
think the Big Ten's that good.
Look at their teams, Gabe. They're brutal.
This is a down year. I mean, usually you see from year to year, Big Ten gets about 7 or 8 teams in. This year, I think it's going to be 4 or 5. This year, they're really down this year. Everyone's really beating up everybody.
I watched Iowa, Ohio State, and I wanted to put a pen in my neck. Iowa's, they're missing shots from every game. It's sloppy. It's just bad basketball.
You should have watched Indiana and Michigan State like I did last Sunday. I don't know why I did that. It's 2 hours of my life I'm never getting back. Exactly. It was just so frustrating. It was like one brick after another. It was like, man, you guys are and they're Big Ten basketball. I'm like, tough. You're just bad. You're not good.
So bad,
It's like Big 12 teams would mess you up, bro. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Speaking of which, Baylor up 39-33 right now on Cincinnati. So I jumped in on Boston College, but how about this, guys? Georgia beating Florida right now. Another 43-37, another upset going on in the making.
Nice.
Okay,
on the men's side.
Yeah, go on, there.
No, I was going to say on the men's side this year, I think is what's making it different than the women is that it's a lot more balanced. There's really no true dominant team. I mean, there's a few teams. We see UConn and we see Houston and we see Purdue. But overall, it really feels like anyone has a chance to win it here on the men's side.
Yeah, I bought into, if there was one team I trust, I know, listen, UConn are great, but I like the odds with Houston here, even though they keep on dropping and plummeting on a daily basis. So Stephen F. Austin and UT Arlington, are you playing this game, Derek, at all?
No, I have no action in that one.
Yeah, see, this is the one where
these guys are psychos. You know what the thing is, Morency, too? Like I gotta say this. Like, here was the angle. So you talk to everybody. Georgia barely beat Mizzou. Remember, I lost that game on free throws. I'm betting on a team that lost 18 games in a row. Yet, Florida's going to murder these guys. It's almost like when a bad team can get a win, you almost want to take them again, and then the reality hits afterwards. You understand kind of where I'm coming from? Like, people were like lining to the window like Florida was going to beat these guys by like 30 points, Morency.
Dude, but Florida are like Texas, Cam. These guys are another ones. You buy into Florida and like right away. Yeah. And I'll admit, I was like, Florida are dangerous coming into this tournament. They could lose this game. 46-39.
Texas there.
Yeah, Texas.
That was a great Texas. That was a great comparison compared them to Texas. That's right on the money there.
They'll let you down.
Thank you. My comparison of the week is the Sacramento Kings or the Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Betting in game, there's a big difference, right? Like the computer changes the number so often. Like, I tried to get this in right now, but in reality, as I saw plus 165 in the arena, they're hitting the shot, and I'm getting this like a couple of seconds late. And even the sports book, like, technology can only like travel so fast.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
How about this? Nikola Jokic, heavy favorite here to minus 170 price, followed by SGA at plus 250, and Luka Doncic at a 7-1 price.
It would require a whole lot from Luka to, like, 15 of the next 20 games he has to have triple double, like something absurd. And it really just comes down to Jokic being amazing, doing everything he's doing. Like, I hate to say it, but he's probably had this locked up the second Embiid was announced out.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. Still scoreless in Seattle right now.
Crazy.
I had a feeling tonight was the night the Caps would sort of show up. I talked a lot this week about this sort of West Coast road trip, the Canadian Western swing. It's even more of a bitch now because they throw in Seattle into the mix too. Mm-hmm. So you got to do the Seattle thing. Their season, like they know they need. This is a massive game. They've got the Canucks coming up on Saturday, the Capitals. Plus Seattle aren't good favorites.
Seattle's a better road team than they are at home. If you look at their road and you get better numbers. I just want to say one thing tonight. Me and you, we got to remember this. This is key, vital to gambling. That Vegas line, Gabe, the Calgary Flames are actually the opposite, the coldest team. They should be the Calgary Igloos. That line dropped. Like I'm thinking, who the hell's betting on the Calgary Flames against Vegas? They're winning 2-1, and Vegas closed at like 170 when like open like 220. It's one of those things. It's like it's hard to peg it, but we got to remember, like when we see these trap lines in hockey, especially recently, these dogs are coming in big when these favorites are like low. It's like almost low. People are just betting it automatically, and it's a recipe for disaster.
Moral of the story for people tuning in: it's hard to pick winners.
Yes,
like it's tough.
Yes, and that's
like in all leagues, like I gotta watch out for
tough.
this. Like some people are like, oh yeah, I win. It's like, all right, man, it's not that easy. It's not that easy.
It's hard.
84-78, Colorado State over Nevada with 20 seconds left. Temple actually have a 6-point lead right now with 8 minutes left. Okay, so Derek is more disciplined. No, it's Derek Dimes. Derek disciplined. Passing on SF Austin and Arlington. What about UC Riverside and Long Beach, baby? Any action on that? Touching this game?
I got no action on that. No action on that.
Oh, come on. This one we're disappointed. I'll give you a pass on Stephen F. Austin, all right? And UT Arlington. But Riverside smoking hot against the spread right now. This isn't the best Long Beach team. I think Riverside, the only thing I'm concerned about Riverside is fatigue catches up to them. They've been playing all the time. But they're just too hot to get in front of. And they're hitting threes. The last game, 11-23 from threes. Like they've been hot from three for a couple of weeks now. So I don't think it's just sort of a phase. I just think they're one of these hot teams that I think they get it done. I'm taking them. Cam, you're on them as well at +3.
Yeah. And the thing is, I do worry about them playing a lot of basketball, Gabe, but sometimes that's a good thing. And you know what? I like these underdogs in the tournament, the teams that nobody gives a chance to. I think that's safe. Take a look at the games that are going on now. Like, all these crazy teams that sucked all year are doing quite well in their conference tournaments.
Utah, Colorado, Derek. Last one on the board here.
I like Utah here in this matchup, especially with the size advantage down low. They have Carson down there. I really like them here getting the points in this matchup. I know Colorado's coming in hot, they won a bunch of games in a row here. We've seen Utah take care of business against Arizona State 90-57. So I would back Utah here in this matchup.
We agree. One thing I like about this, too, as you stated, Utah smoked ASU last night. So their players they didn't go to overtime. Some of these teams, man, like they're going to it's 79-78. And then they play, they're playing 12 hours later. That's crazy. That's when it starts to catch up. And it's almost like being at a blackjack table, right, Cam? When you're playing this much basketball in these tournaments, eventually it's like, man, we got all those bounces for 2 games in a row, but not today. Like the calls are going against, the wheels can fall off. But Utah, man, they checked out of the game with 8 minutes left last night. Like they're nice and rested coming into tonight. Plus 4.5. Total 151.5. Looking ahead to tomorrow, speaking of the Purdue Boilermakers, Derek, the Boilermakers, -6.5 against Sparty. Michigan State +6.5. What do you think about Purdue and Michigan State? I actually think Purdue are going to win the Big Ten tournament. They got to come out of something. They got to walk away with some championship. Because I don't think they're going to win the NCAA tournament. What do you make of this? Do they cover against Purdue, do you think?
I think this is going to be an interesting matchup. I know a lot of folks are high on Purdue, obviously a very good team. These two teams played already, and I believe it was only a 6-point game or so in Purdue. And Purdue shot absolutely lights out between 3 players, I believe it was Edie Smith, and I forget who the other one was, but they scored 70 of the 80 points in that matchup. They shot the ball extremely well, and Michigan State shot, I believe, 37% from the field. from 2-point range that game. I just don't think that they're going to be able to sustain that. I actually am high on Sparty here in this matchup. I think this is a veteran team that went to the Sweet 16 last year. We know they lost Matty Sissoko. They lost Hauser. But this is one of those teams who has had a very, very difficult schedule. Now they have 3, I think, quad 1 wins here this season, and now it's Tom Izzo time coming into this matchup. I think Sparty does enough to keep this game close.
For younger viewers and listeners, this is pretty crazy because I'm sure we had some people in their 20s that all the talk all the time about the Big Ten this, the Big Ten that, when it comes to basketball, it's insane. The last time the Big Ten won a championship, that's why I have a hard time buying into Purdue, because I do hold it against them. It's just factual. They haven't won a national championship in 24 years. The last time the Big Ten won a championship, guys, was Tom Izzo in the year 2000. Maryland won in 2002. They weren't in the Big Ten then, right? So you see Maryland beat Indiana, actually. The Big Ten teams have made it. Michigan have made it a bunch of times, but that's the two things when you come into the tournament, guys. A team from the Big Ten has not won since the year 2000, and a team from the West Coast has not won since the Arizona Wildcats in 1997.
Unreal.
That's wild.
Seriously.
Was that Maryland team Juan Dixon? Remember those guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Juan Dixon. Yeah.
Steve Blake, Juan Dixon, Lonnie Baxter.
And remember, that team. They won on a running shot from the whole court to beat UNC Wilmington, or they would have been done in the first game, and then they ran the table after that. It's funny how those teams win. Yeah. They always go through something real scary early, like when Virginia did. It's weird, very odd.
I remember that Saturday that they were in the Final Four. I was in a band and I got arrested for putting posters up. I was putting posters up for a show, my band was playing. I was putting posters up, and a cop car pulled up, and I basically went into it, right? I was like, you got to be there. They came out. They were like, you have ID? I was like, what? And we were in a bad part of town, too. And I went right into, I was mouthy. I went right into, don't you have anything effing better to do than to bother me putting up an effing poster? And I was like, you this and that. I went right into dude, it took about 30 seconds there. Next thing I knew, man, they were like, oh, yeah, really, huh? And they spun me around. Boom, my face was boom, I was in cuffs. And I was thinking I really should have just shut up and said, yes, sir. I was like, oh, God. Right. As soon as I saw him get out of the car, I knew. I was like, I'm done. Right? I'm done. If they're in the car, you can sort of, he told me to shut up, too. I was like, yeah. And I went for one last one. He got out. I was like, yeah, I'm doomed. And I'll never forget that, because I swear to God, my way my mind works. I was like, man, I really wanted to bet on Maryland, too, in a couple hours. I hope I get out before the game. And I did. I got out. I got out 10 minutes before. I remember getting out and calling someone from a payphone. Hey, yo, I just got detained, man.
Those are good memories.
Great.
The best memories.
Yeah, great memory. The other memory I have of Maryland, of course, Steve Francis, the Vancouver Grizzlies. Yeah. He said, don't draft me, and then they drafted him. But yeah, West Coast team has not won since Arizona, guys, 1997. Mike Bibby. That's crazy ass stuff, huh?
It's just wow.
I'm
the same teams.
I'm stunned. I didn't know it was that long for the West Coast either.
Some good teams. A lot of good NBAers. Gonzaga got close, but that's just
Cinderella doesn't exist, guys. It's the same teams all the time. This is the order, lads. So UConn, Kansas, Baylor, Virginia, Villanova, North Carolina, Villanova, Duke, UConn, Louisville, Kentucky, UConn, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, Florida, North Carolina, UConn. You get a pattern here?
Yeah, usual suspects.
Yeah, basically UConn, Kansas, North Carolina, and Duke have won 80% of the championships in the last 20 years. It's pretty crazy, but it's true. So when people always talk about the NCAA, who are the sleepers? There ain't no sleepers. It doesn't they might go on a run, but they won't win it all, right? They make it to the Final Four.
What conference? Big 12? Because there's so many damn good teams like that.
The ACC And the ACC is the one between Duke and North Carolina, but Duke haven't won since 2015. Starting to catch up to them a little bit.
It really is.
Yeah. It's got to be the Big 12 this year. The Big 12 is absolutely loaded.
Best conference, but yeah, I agree. Would I see a prop? I'm glad you brought that up. I haven't seen it yet, but when there's props up, when the bracket's out, which conference will win, whatever, I'll take the teams in the Big 12. I'll take my chances, right? Although, I listen, if you have to pick one team to win the championship, my team is Houston. Who's yours, Derek? If you have to pick one team to win.
Yeah, that's actually my pick as well. I think they just can beat you so many different ways. They just played the other day. They just played TCU. They played TCU and they didn't score the ball particularly well, and they still dominated the game. They got out rebounded, I think, by almost 20 rebounds. They still won the game by 15 points. They just have so many different.
Up 18-0, and TCU's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, Gabe, you should see the defense. Just That's the whole thing about Houston. When they lock you down, you're in prison.
Oh, they're
good.
good.
You can't score. Good.
So many different ways to beat you. So many different ways to beat you. They can out-rebound you.
They got us score.
And they're battle-tested. A lot of these teams that come in, like Purdue have been murdering teams in the Big Ten all year. Houston have been playing tough games, going to overtime with good teams. Always good stuff, Derek, my man.
Thanks, Derek.
Appreciate it.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Betting in-game, there's a big difference, right? Like the computer changes the number so often. Like, I tried to get this in right now, but in reality, as I saw plus 165 in the arena, they're hitting the shot. And I'm getting this like a couple of seconds late. And even the sports book, like, technology can only travel so fast.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
How about this? Nikola Jokic, heavy favorite here to minus 170 price, followed by SGA at plus 250, and Luka Doncic at a 7-1 price.
It would require a whole lot from Luka to 15 of the next 20 games he has to have triple doubles, like something absurd. And it really just comes down to Jokic being amazing, doing everything he's doing. I hate to say it, but he's probably had this locked up the second Embiid was announced out.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
talked about it for years. I was a goalie, and in my day, I sound like an old dude, but in my day, goalies didn't play the puck. The extent, like the fanciest thing we did would stop it behind the net. Like when it would get dumped in, you go behind, you stop it, and you simply leave it for the defenseman, right? Goalies get cute. They all think they're Ron Hextall and, you know what I mean? Marty Braun, I'm gonna take a wrist shot. I'm going to clear the puck on my own. I'm going to pass the puck on my own. And it ends in disaster, even at the highest level. I was watching a Carolina Hurricane game 2 days ago. They were winning 6-1, so it didn't really matter. Freddie Anderson came out, casually thought he was Wayne Gretzky, literally passed the puck right to a buddy on the Flames, buried it in the empty net.
Right goalie, here. Gabe. Former Leaf. Yeah. Freddie Anderson. Yeah. He did the whole thing.
Yeah. Freddie Anderson. He played well, but he kind of got careless.
He's actually a good goalie.
He tried to flick the puck, and the puck just went off the heel of the stick. And, goalies are not, stop trying to shoot. You just saw it right now with Decor, bro. The guy tries to shoot the puck. He shot it right into the Capital Oshie, right off his pads. Dude, what are you doing?
Morency, you said it. I just saw it. I was just walking back, and I'm like, I can't believe you said it. He gave them a goal.
You're fighting for a playoff spot. You can't be doing that in a scoreless game. Don't screw around.
You go anywhere but.
It's like a soccer goalie cam kicking the ball to the other dude on the team. What are you doing?
Messi, right up the middle. Yeah, nice and easy. Yeah, bang. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Man.
That happened. We'll bring Julio in. That actually happened in the Montreal-Miami game on Sunday. In the first couple of minutes of the game, the kicker, the goalie on Miami screwed up. Buddy on Montreal had an open net and somehow missed. It was one of those weirdest, what the hell did you miss that? Montreal ended up winning and beating them anyways, though. But I told you, Karen, I thought the Capitals, this is a trap game tonight with the Kraken.
And the Calgary Flames beat Vegas. You put those two big pooches in a parlay. This is the time of the year, Morency. You're bringing up good points. These favorites aren't automatically winning. A lot of these dogs are calling up guys and they're desperate.
Seattle aren't worthy of being favorites. They're just sort of they're not better than Washington, really. That's the problem. You know what I mean? Yeah. But here comes, we'll see. I don't know. All right, what's the end game here? Well, what's the end game?
I'm taking Seattle end game.
There you go. It's plus 200 for you, Cam. It's pretty big.
Plus 200. Be honest with you. I'm sweating out this tennis match hard, Morency. I got Navarro versus Sakari, and let me tell you, my girl was plus 400 and something. She gagged, and now she's coming back, and she's the favorite. It is an absolute slugfest between these
Hold on,
we've
got. Can you guys get this? And Julio, we'll get to you in a second. Can you get this up, actually? Carlos Alcaraz today was attacked by a bunch of bees. It's like Attack of the Killer Bees. I was told, actually, Tommy, if you've got the Alcaraz getting here, look at this. It's a lot of bees.
That's tons. Look at him. He's freaking out. Yeah, those are bees.
No, wait, look at this. Look at this.
Oh my God! It's
look at this. Look, it's like an Alfred Hitchcock movie. It's not good.
It really is. Where do you get that many bees?
Did somebody exactly? Why did all these bees converge on the tennis stadium?
That's
a lot of bees.
There's a gigantic
drone. Look, it's attacking the drone. They're attacking the drone.
They smashed a barrel of honey and just smeared it everywhere. I don't know what's going on here.
These bees look angry.
They are. Bees aren't fun, man. Especially it's like everything in life now. Bees are angrier, more aggressive. They like to pick fights with humans. They don't want to fly away. They want to.
Alcaraz got bit in the forehead too. That's the report after. His manager said, he got bit twice in the forehead. He got bit a couple of times. You could be in a lot of trouble with your big head out there, Julio. If that was you on there.
Seriously,
they would have thought you were they would have said, we're going. Imagine a swarm of bees. They look around, Cam. You'd be lucky. You'd be dodged. We're going to land on this guy's head, nice and big.
Julio's melon is like a big diamond honeycomb for them.
He'd be
swatting him everywhere.
Yeah, oh yeah, sweet.
If I was a tennis player, I'm not kidding, because right now Medvedev and Rune are on the court. Me too, Cam. I would tell him, how can you assure me that I'm not going to get attacked by a swarm of bees again? Why? You guys going to have some sort of spray protect to keep them away from us? Weird. You're in the middle of the desert, Indian Wells. Medvedev is up 1-0. Okay, Mr. College Basketball, former play-by-play voice in the house here. What do you like, Julio, tonight with the games coming up here tonight? New Mexico State, Boise. For the record, we talked a lot about liking Arlington. Arlington are up 14-4 on Stephen F. Austin right now. Long Beach lead Riverside 9-5, and we have Utah and Colorado coming up. This one actually about to tip off. What do you like tonight, Julio?
Man, Vegas is the place to be for conference tournament weekend. Imagine being there right now. You have a choice of 4 games going into the late night hour. I've got Colorado to close out a Colorado parlay with CSU.
Oh, I forgot you're in Colorado.
Colorado.
That's right. Yeah, you're a homer.
Yeah,
you're a homer. Sorry.
I'm a homer. It's that Rocky Mountain bias. Spreading it across the country. So I got CU to close out the all Colorado parlay. I got Sheriff Lobo. I mean, I'm a big fan of young Richard Pitino's New Mexico Lobos. Hey, if we have the over, let's just go 1 for 1. How about that? But I'm also taking the over 151 in that game with the Lobos and Boise State. And if I can get something in game with Long Beach and Riverside, 156 the live total. I just think we're going to get – we've seen it in a lot of games. Fouls late in these games. So I might take the over 156 right now, Long Beach and Riverside.
It's true. These are you're battling to get to the NCAA tournament and or your last ever game. Nobody, teams don't tap out. That's the one good thing about this that I like. They won't tap out even down. I've seen teams, man, down 18 with 2 minutes left, and they're still fouling.
That's right.
It's great if you're an over better.
Many times.
It's God bless you, Coach. So, yeah. Don't never give up. Good message. I like it. Fight to the last whistle.
Yeah.
How about this, guys? Villanova and Marquette tied at 58 with 6 seconds left. I think we're going overtime.
Look at Temple. Since the scandal, up 10 on Smooth. What is going on here?
SMU are another one like Texas. Yeah. They're just soft, bro. SMU suck. SMU. Same with football.
Oh, remember, yes, the Boston College game. I remember I was like, SMU's going to murder. Boston College just basically kicked the – they were like 12-point dogs. They went outright, Gabe. You're right. That school never comes
SMU,
through.
You should ask yourselves, why do you think the Big 12 welcomed you guys? Yeah, sure, you could join us. They're all like, they thought Big 12 guys came, they're going to be like our Rutgers. They're like, sure.
Yeah. Come on down.
It's like, all right, we'll beat you all the time, and we'll make money off you. And okay, sure, we'll come and recruit in Dallas now and take your players. Sure. Thank you. It's funny, too. They're not getting paid to join the Big 12 for the first 7 years either. Okay, Julio, so what else do you like here? So this is the in-game stuff right now to get people caught up to date. As Cam mentioned, Temple are about to win for real. Temple are up by 10 with 1.5 minutes left. Virginia are going to survive. They're going to beat Boston College. They're up by 5 in overtime with about 30 seconds left. Baylor up 58-51 on Cincinnati with 7 minutes left. So it looks like Baylor are going to win, but they might not cover. They're laying 6.5 right now. In-game total is 127.5. Villanova and Marquette, there's 3 seconds left. We'll see if this game ends up going to overtime. We're at a timeout. And, I like this. Riverside have taken a 12-10 lead. They've come on a little bit right now. Colorado are up 3-2 on Utah. I'm going to jump in, guys. Yeah, I was going to say this total, Julio. 148.5 in Utah, Colorado. I'm going over the number.
I like that. I'm looking at tomorrow's card, Gabe, with St. John's 2 weeks ago, 22-1 to win the Big East tournament. We're in the semifinals, so for you Johnny's backers, big game tomorrow against the Huskies. It was 10. The number opened 10. That's what I grabbed it. It's already 9.5. I still think that's a good number. Give me Rick Pitino's St. John Red Storm tomorrow for a little more Garden Magic against UConn.
Riding the wave, huh? Wow. We're on the opposite of everything. I think it's the end of the line, and UConn are going to murder them. Cam, what's your?
I don't know, man. Some of these teams find the magic, and others don't. I don't want to get in front of them, but I I'm just going to stick to golf matchups, Gabe. I got too much problems going on with these tennis matches, like the ebbs and flows. It's just very stressful. Like I put way too much money on this match, and I don't know why I did. I just kept on clicking.
What, the tennis match?
Yeah. I got Navarro versus Sakari. It's like both
Who
have
do you
been
have?
up at. I have Navarro, but she was at one point she was minus 400. Then the other girl was minus 4. Like it's like the biggest swings. Like they're breaking each other every time. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Nobody
it's close.
can move. Yeah, it's very close.
Sakari's serving right now. She could tie it. She's actually she's up 40. Like she's about to tie. They're about to be tied. They are tied now. 4-4 in the second set.
Yeah. They consider this the fifth major. It's in Southern California. It's a great tournament. But tennis marketing is so terrible that if you're not invested in tennis, you don't even know this tournament's going on. That's my frustration with the WTA and the ATP. If it's not on ESPN, it's just buried.
It's horrible timing, bad time of the year to have it. You're right. They hype it up like that, but it's funny because I actually think the credence that the Players' Championship actually is the unofficial fifth major. Like, you know what I mean? Of golf. This tennis stuff, like fans don't look at it like that. Like Indian Wells sort of sells that. I get it. But you're right. They don't promote it at all well. I mean, look, it's on late at night. It's against conference tournament action. And it's just, it could be marketed much better. I can't disagree. Hey, I think the West Coast has been neglected when it comes to tennis. Should be more big events actually on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. So what else do you got for us, Julio?
Last week I talked about the White Sox 22-1 to make the playoffs. Well, that dream is dead. I already threw away the ticket.
That dream was never alive, Julio. I told you last week.
Dude, I do stupid things, Julio, like betting on Missouri losing 18 in a row. That could be dumber than my bets. That's the White Sox.
I threw away the ticket, so we're going under 63.5 of the White Sox. They'll make more trades, especially as we get to July. They'll trade away their offense. So under 63.5 of the White Sox, and 4-1 for the worst record in the majors, the White Sox. Because again, they're going to trade a lot of guys come the summer. 4-1 to be the worst record in the majors. That's what I'm taking the White Sox. Soccer tomorrow. Speaking of a future, Bayern Munich 8-1 to win the Bundesliga. They're 10 points back with 27 points up for grabs all the way up until May. So I think Bayern Munich have a good shot, and at 8-1, that's a great price. Tomorrow or this weekend, they take on Darmstadt. They're already going to be relegated, so give me a clean sheet for Bayern Munich tomorrow or this weekend when they take on Darmstadt. It's the last game before the international break. College basketball, Bucky Badger, give me Wisconsin -3 against Northwestern, and Kent State after the upset against Toledo. Talk about a terrible team. Toledo just played hero ball the entire game. They deserve to lose. Kent State -2 against Bowling Green tomorrow.
I had Toledo.
Me
Massive
too.
choke job. Pathetic.
Terrible.
They always choke in this tournament.
Laying points on the road in college basketball is an absolute landmine. I would not do it. I won't do it the rest of the year. I'm done doing that because it just consistently loses.
I mean, 3 possessions in a 9-point game in which the opposition now is the clock, not the actual team you're facing, right?
Right.
And these guys are taking up shots. I mean, it's just like, that's why it's the NBA.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Betting in-game, there's a big difference, right? Like the computer changes the number so often. Like, I tried to get this in right now, but in reality, as I saw plus 165 in the arena, they're hitting the shot. And I'm getting this like a couple of seconds late. And even the sports book, like, technology can only like travel so fast.
SportsRage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
How about this? Nikola Jokic, heavy favorite here to minus 170 price, followed by SGA at plus 250, and Luka Doncic at a 7-1 price.
It would require a whole lot from Luka to, like, 15 of the next 20 games he has to have triple doubles, like something absurd. And it really just comes down to Jokic being amazing, doing everything he's doing. Like, I hate to say it, but he's probably had this locked up the second Embiid was announced out.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. Brett Beard's going to step up into level 3 as the college football playoff committee continues to meet. I think there might be an announcement tomorrow or any day now. They pretty much ironed it out. It's pretty crazy, actually. I said this before. We all knew the Big Ten and the SEC were the most powerful conferences in college sports now, but they really took over, like the college football playoffs. Like, they basically said, we're taking 58% of the money. And after that, it's split up after the ACC gets 17%. The Big 12 is going to get 15%. Notre Dame will get 10%. If they make the playoffs, they get 10% of the college football playoff revenues. It's a 14-team playoff, yet it's interesting how they're more concerned about the money, right? Like, so when they said, oh, let's expand the playoffs, it was never about, oh, how do we make the game better? How do we make this playoffs better? It was like, well, how do we make more money, right? And that's all it's been about. So it's interesting that they've come to the agreement about the splitting the money up, but they're like, we'll worry about the format later. So I don't know what the format is. It's up in the air, right? About the Big Ten and the ACC. The Big Ten and the SEC is going to get 6 teams in automatically. I think that's pretty much in stone. But they're getting pushback about the bye weeks. So I don't think there's going to be bye weeks anymore in this college football playoff stuff. But anyways, and Julio, your Chicago Bears, just picked up Keenan Allen from the Chargers. The Bears keep rebuilding.
If he stays healthy, that could be a pretty good pickup. That's a big if, though, for Keenan Allen.
Yeah. You know what? For a 4th-round draft pick, though, they have nothing to lose.
Yeah, it's nothing to lose. It's a good trade. I like it a lot.
Cam, hold on, Cam. We only got 30 seconds, so we'll do it on the other side, and we'll get you out of here. Sure. Cam's got some. We'll get Cam's overnight golf matchups and the updated golf odds, in which we're actually in this thing. Right? We got Wyndham Clark. I got Wyndham Clark. He's right in the mix right now at 50-1.
Yep. Right there.